My name is Anthony Turi and I'm a recording arts and show production graduate from F.I.R.S.T Institute. My initial interest in music production began when I was around 16 years old, when I first heard an album by Porter Robinson called Worlds. That got me heavily into electronic music, and from there I began music production and eventually got into audio engineering through that. My favorite part about attending F.I.R.S.T Institute was the intimacy of the classroom and the class setting. Because the average was about one professor for every 8 or 9 students, I was able to get really hands-on, and if I had a question, I knew it wasn't going to go unanswered. My favorite project that I worked on at F.I.R.S.T Institute was the Sound for Visual Media project, where we basically took a film trailer and redid every sound from scratch. I think that was a great way to teach the students how to collaborate amongst each other, and it definitely taught me a lot about the process that goes into recreating a film trailer. My initial internship roles began at TSM Studio for the most part, where I was assisting John LaRosa with sessions, wrapping cables, assisting with cleaning the studio, basically all of the basic intern roles that most people expect to take upon at the start of the music industry. And through working on that, John gave me the responsibility of operating Pro Tools among certain projects with him, and just sitting in the room and being able to soak in knowledge kind of like a sponge, be it like a fly on the wall, and just sit in there, see how he works, and take that workflow into account when I eventually got to the position where I could run my own sessions. My favorite project that I worked on was at TSM Studio, recording an audiobook for Pastor William McDowell. That was my first experience doing voiceover work, especially with somebody of that magnitude. So working with somebody like that and knowing that he trusted me while I was still in school, and knowing that the instructors prepared me well enough to take on a session like that was definitely my favorite project while I was in F.I.R.S.T. John was a great example of the phenomenal staff at F.I.R.S.T Institute, because he kind of took me under his wing when he didn't have to, independently outside of school, because I feel that he saw potential in me, and I'm very appreciative of that. And through that process, I was able to land a job at TSM Studio. And while I was in school, I was working for Rhino staging, and I had the opportunity to work on a show for John Mayer and the Grateful Dead, which was definitely a really cool opportunity. And it also taught me a lot about my appreciation for recording in a studio environment because of all the variables that go on in live sound. Since I've been working at TSM Studio, I've had the opportunity to work with artists like Rodney Jerkins, Blanca, Haitian Fresh, Young Dread, Universal Music Group, and I've even done voiceovers for the BET Network, and worked with children's choirs, kind of like a vast array of artists and different projects in all audio forms. My roles at TSM Studio outside of school have been pretty vast, and I've done everything from recording clients to them eventually trusting me enough to mix their music. I've done editing, vocal tuning, and I've even had clients walk in while I was making a beat and decide that they want me to produce a project for them. So I've definitely had vast experience and multiple roles while I've been at TSM Studio. The most rewarding project that I've worked on recently was the Baby Mime project with Chris J, who is actually one of my instructors at F.I.R.S.T Institute. It's a children's lullaby album for orphanages in Africa, and it's going to be possibly in over 150 countries. Some of my goals going forward are definitely to constantly be a student and constantly learn, because I feel like once you reach a point where you feel like you know everything and there's nothing else for you to learn, that's where you kind of plateau. So my goal is to become the best audio engineer that I can possibly be, and of course I'm shooting for a Grammy or a platinum project within the next couple years. My end goal is to eventually open up my own recording studio and facilitate creativity by allowing people to come in with whatever project it may be, whether it's a voiceover, sound design, or an actual album that they plan on working on, and just having people around that genuinely care about music and pushing the audio envelope forward. Anybody looking to get into the recording arts industry should realize that there's always going to be highs and lows. There's going to be times where you feel like you don't have enough work going on, and other times where you feel like you have way too much to stay afloat. But you need that balance in order to remain appreciative that you get to work on music or film or whatever the medium may be for a living.